the Parenting Education Focus Group. Let's start with a bit of housekeeping. This session is being recorded, and we ask that the participants keep both your audio and video off during this presentation portion of the session. This will protect the bandwidth and hopefully prevent potential issues with lagging. We have several great internships to hear about, so let's get started. Our future intern presenters are Danny Peavy and Jade Schultz, parenting educator interns at the Educational and Treatment Council in Lake Charles, and Shylin Brown, supervised visitation intern at AVEC in Lafayette. We will begin by viewing the video reports they have prepared for us, followed by a question and answer where we will be able to ask focus questions about their specific internships experience.
Hey everyone, my name is Erin, and this past semester I was an intern at the Education Treatment Council here in Lake Charles, Louisiana, as a family educator. This past semester, being an intern at ETC, I really become so knowledgeable on what social workers and what caseworkers do. They are so much more than what we think they are, and they give so much more of their heart than the community ever gives them credit for. I now have a better understanding of what happens when a child is placed into the state's care and when they are taken from their parents. I now have a better idea of what the Department of Child and Family Services is, what they do, and where they line up with how they help ETC. We have clients who come from every walk of life. Every worst fear of a parent of what you could do comes true when you see these clients. We have clients who have been neglectful, who have made mistakes, who probably didn't intend to do what they did to have their child taken. Our job is to help prevent that. We're able to provide them with the tools and the knowledge to make their home safer, to better educate them on how to be a parent. And it's very rewarding to watch these parents go from the beginning when they become our clients to the end and watch them grow and really work hard to be a better parent. We're able to provide them with resources that help make that happen. There are so many resources in Lake Charles that people don't realize. It's our job to make sure they do be aware of these resources. And even I become aware of some resources that I didn't know were there for people who just need help. I learned the ins and outs of what it means to be a parent educator. It's so much more than just teaching parents on how to be parents. It's a wonderful job, and it takes beautiful people with such big hearts to do it. And it was rewarding to work with these women who want nothing but for these people to be better parents. My most rewarding part of my internship was watching parents work so hard. People are capable of change. And when you have your child taken from you, you hit rock bottom. And we've watched some of these parents hit rock bottom, pick themselves up, better themselves, and truly become better parents. And that has been so wonderful in watching that happen. One of my objectives that I chose to do for my internship was to observe and document progress of families in terms of the family service delivery plan. At the beginning of our client's program, they have to complete what we call an AAPI survey to assess what we're starting with. And that is the Adult Adolescent Parenting Inventory. This is just to see where their mind's at, just to see how they feel about things and how they go about being a parent. Another part that we do is to frequently communicate with our DCFS partner to follow up with our client's progress. It's important that our client is not only doing what they need for us, but also staying up to date on their DCFS case so that they're on good with both of us. If they're messing up on one side, the other side's not going to be in support. So they have to stay on top of it. And that's, we need to make sure they're doing it. At the end of our program, the clients take the same survey just to see how they've grown. And 54% of our clients always have an increase in their scores. And that shows us how we did and where their mind is leaving our program. Throughout the semester, we had to do different assignments that were called artifacts that were reflections of various things. We had to really tell what ETC was. And that ranged from interviews with our supervisor, making brochures, different infographics. Essentially, someone could look at our portfolio and truly know the ins and outs and every detail about our internship. My two favorite artifacts that I did were my educational and treatment council infographic and my brochure. These two were the ones I was most proud about because I felt like anybody walking on the streets or anywhere could read these artifacts and know 100% what ETC is and what we offer, because they were so detailed and really allowed me full imagination on explaining what ETC is. When I think back on my semester of doing my internship at ETC, there's so much growth that I see from truly understanding now what it means to be a family educator, what it means to work for DCFS, and to be a caseworker for our clients. I saw my own personal compassion grow for these clients, watching them grow from becoming clients to working so hard to getting their kids back, watching it really click when they got it on how to better themselves and how to improve their home lives for their children. And this semester gave me the opportunity to really dig deep into finding out what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. And for that, I am grateful. My internship experience and personal growth would not have been possible without my amazing site supervisor. Miss Sheila is truly a ray of walking sunshine. She was always positive, always encouraging, even during the weeks that she could barely function being so sick. She was always a breath of fresh air for all of us. And being able to work under her, I really got to see the embodiment of the quote, "If you love what you do, you never work a day in your life," because Miss Sheila truly loves what she does. And it was so inspiring to want to put that much passion and wholeheartedness into my future career. And just a reflection of who Miss Sheila was comes through in the two family educators that I was able to work with, Sarah and Claire, because they were so kind to me. They took me in and they were just wonderful all around. I am so grateful to have been a part of ETC this semester. And Ms. Sheila, I thank you for that.
Hello, everyone. My name is Nichelle Brown, and I was an intern at AVAC Lee's Infant. AVAC is an exchange center that help non-custodian parents build bonds and share time with their children. The visit was usually 2 hours. Some was less because depending on how the child would react to seeing a parent, a non-custodian parent, but it was the exchange center to help them bond. Before I started at AVAC, I had a few strategic plans or goals. And doing that, my goals was reached. This slide is one of my lab artifacts, which is the public service announcement. The public service announcement was my favorite slide because I enjoy putting things together and adding sound to the public service announcement. My second lab artifact is the trifold brochure, which was my second favorite lab artifact. This brochure is an informational brochure that tells you about AVAC and explains how everything works and goes. And it also have the address and the link to visit the website. This slide is my reflection slide. My reflection on AVAC overall was a good reflection. I enjoy seeing non-custodian parents bond with their kids, although it was only 2 hours, but most parents will bond with their kids every Sunday and not miss a Sunday. And that was my favorite part. They did all they could to see their kids. And most parents, when they come, they will bring their kids gifts, foods, and whatever that they can bring, games, and they would like really bond with them, play games with them. And the kids really enjoyed it. My last slide is my acknowledgement slide. On this slide, it talks about how I would do everything at AVAC all over again. And I want to thank Miss Monique. Miss Monique was the best site supervisor. She helped us, she guided us through things. We talked about a lot of things that was beyond AVAC, and like she helped me prepare for my intern a lot also. Miss Monique is one of the sweetest person ever, and like I will continue to volunteer at AVAC because I love that place and I love the environment, the people. I love the kids that's there. And it's just everything about it that make me not want to leave AVAC. But overall, guys, this is my slide. This is my PowerPoint. And AVAC was a great experience and it was best for my intern. Thank you guys for watching.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jade Schultz. I interned at the Educational and Treatment Council, or ETC, which is a resource center here in Lake Charles, Louisiana, and I was a family educator. While interning at ETC, some of the work that I did was help to parents interact with their children in a more positive way and help discipline them using positive reinforcements. Provided tools to prevent removal of the home. A lot of the clients that ETC serves have been referred to us from Department of Child and Family Services. So either because they're at risk of losing their children or the children have already been removed from the home. So ETC works to reunify the family. Some of the amazing things that I've seen happen when one opens himself up to new things. A lot of times, more often than not, parents aren't very receptive to the information that's being given to them by the family educator because they think they don't need the service, they can do it on their own. But then they quickly realize that with the support of that educator in their home and the new techniques that they're learning, it can actually change their family and will change their family for the better. So they start to really take in the information and you can kind of witness, the miracle of the family changing in a more positive way. So it's pretty cool to see. I had many objectives throughout the internship. And one of those was providing services to the clients through education and mentoring. That is done at ETC through the programs that they provide. And those programs are the Nurturing Parent, Strengthening Families, and SAFE programs. All of the programs are evidence-based curricula and they're used nationwide. So resource centers across the United States use these programs, not just here at ETC. Some of the numbers are the Nurturing Parent program has a 90% success rate. That is nationwide. In one of the reporting years at ETC, they served 139 families. Out of that 139 families, only 2 were made to repeat the program. So you can see it is pretty successful. Throughout the internship, we had to supply artifacts. An artifact is a project, wakelet collections, PowerPoints, public service announcements, interviews with site supervisors and other staff. Each of them relate to the organization or the services that are being provided by that organization. These are some that I've done and chose to show you today. These are my favorites because they actually show the impact that they can have on a family, that ETC can have on a family. And it shows you the different programs that ETC offers. So there's really, from housing for the homeless and runaways to drug court and summer camp. There's really something there for everyone at ETC. Looking back, there's so many cool things about ETC and interning there. Probably one of my favorite things is that aha moment that parents have when something finally just it clicks. Like you can see the light bulb turn on, like someone just flips a switch and they finally get it. They understand the way they need to change things and they put those changes into actions and they really start to change their family dynamic and the functionality of it. And it is something that is really, really cool to see. Also, while at ETC, I met a lot of amazing people. And one of those people is the site supervisor, Miss Sheila Lichty. She is a pleasure to work with and just always in a positive mood. And she's trying to get others in that positive mood. You really can't help but smile and be happy around her. She has been incredibly supportive, and without her, my internship wouldn't have been as successful as it was. She has taken me, a person who has never been in an educator role at all, and molded me into this family educator. She's ignited a passion inside me that I didn't even realize was there. And she has offered me a position with ETC after graduation, and I'm happy to announce that I have accepted that. So pretty excited to continue to work with her and follow her example and her guidance because she truly is amazing. So thank you, Ms. Sheila.
Wow, thank y'all for sharing those great videos. Now it's time to open up the Q&A with the interns. Interns, please turn on your cameras so now so we can see you, and we ask that all attendees keep your cameras off for the duration of the session so that we can focus on the interns. We also ask that all attendees leave your microphones off unless you are asking a question. This will keep any unexpected sounds from distracting the rest of the session. If you have any questions for one of the interns, please use the raise hand feature and I will call on you to ask the question. The raise hand is found in the meeting toolbar to the left of the red leave button. You can also raise your hand by clicking Control Shift and K at the same time. If you prefer to type your question, feel free and type it in the session chat and I will read it to the interns. Before we begin, I will remind everyone at the session that is being recorded. I will start the Q&A with a question for Danny. What was something that you learned during your internship that was unexpected?
I never thought that, you hear about these parents who have their children removed from their homes and you think all these bad things about them, and until you work with them and you really find yourself being their cheerleader, being on their team, and just hoping that they get it together and that they become right parents and they do the right things. And that really surprised me because I never thought that I would show that kind of compassion for that But it just shows you that looking into something, you don't really see what's going on, and that all situations aren't what they seem.
Chelsea, do you have a question?
Yes, it's for nice Shaylin. Am I saying your name right? I'm sorry.
Yeah, you saying it right.
Okay. What strategies were used to help the families bond? What were some of the steps or some of the plans put in place for them to start the bonding process?
So first they would come in through like certain entries. They wouldn't let the same their parents coming through the same entry. They would drop off their kids and the kids would meet them in another room. And they would bring them food and gifts, I guess, to make them like get used to them or to make them like happy to see them. So they would bring them food and gifts to make them open up to them and talk about things with them and everything.
Chelsea, do you have another question?
I do. It's for Jade.
Okay.
What was the buy-in to help the families be more receptive to accepting help? Was there a turning point for the families, or was it just kind of they just eventually came around to just wanting the help that y'all were offering?
No, a lot of times there was a turning point. Through the different, each week is a different lesson, and it's teaching them different things on how to be nurturing and to be a parent that is available and supportive to their children. And it seemed through each lesson, something that the parent didn't realize they had the power to do, they learned it from that lesson. So then they were able to see, once they realized they had the power to change it, they realized, okay, I can do this. You know, for example, one girl had no idea that she could create the family rules for her family. She was a young mom, and you know, she had always listened to her parents or, you know, the older people in the family telling her what to do and how to raise her children. And in one of the lessons, when it was like, you are the head of the family, you create the rules for your family, and you delegate, you know, and make decisions for your family. And she was kind of like, well, I didn't realize I could do that. So it was always something like that, where they actually realized that they had the power, and that's what made it click, kind of like, okay, I can do this. So it was pretty neat. And each instance was, you know, a little bit different, but always the same. So they just realized they had the power.
Miss White, do you have a question?
I do. So this question goes to each one of the three of y'all. What will you miss most about your internship?
What I miss most about my intern is like seeing the kids happy with their parents, well, with their non-custodian parents, and seeing them bond.
I'll go next. I'm gonna miss the people I did my internship with. It's no secret that once I started my internship, I realized that I wanted to be on the other side of this career choice. So I won't necessarily miss what we did for our internship. I loved it, but I realized it wasn't for me. But it's amazing to work with people and to be with people who made it so much fun and so good, and still not fully be, you know, as in love with it as other people. But I think that spoke for itself about who we did our internship with, to know that you can love something for the people and not necessarily for what you do. And so that's what I'm going to miss. And Jade, me and Jade have gotten super close. So
Yes. That's okay. You won't have a chance to miss me. But fortunately, I will not have a chance to miss anything because I was offered a job at ETC and I'm accepting it. So I'll still be able to see the clients that we work with, see the people that we worked with, be around and talk to Miss Sheila for her guidance. So I'm pretty fortunate, I guess, that I won't have to miss out on anything, and that I'll still be able to see these people, these fantastic people, on a daily basis. One of the things, though, that does really, tend to be a bummer is when you close a case, then because you develop a bond with these people, with these clients, and when you can no longer see them, sometimes it's missed, but at least they're doing better. So
I have a quick follow-up response. So to Danny, I think one of the things that is really important about what you just shared is that, I know, and your group members know, that you decided that this is not the path for you professionally. And I think that that's a really important thing to remember about the internship, that part of what it is a practice of discernment for you to see if this is a career path that you are interested in and is a good fit, or maybe it's not. And sometimes it doesn't work out, but that's okay. Is there anything you regret about where you interned and the experience that you had?
No, definitely not, because it wasn't like I hated it. I enjoyed what we did, but we sit here and we talk about all the good cases, but we did have cases that, break your heart, that you just want to grab your client and just be like, come on, do it for your kids. Like, your kids need you, your kids want you. And those break your heart. And I definitely think it's a career that certain people are called to do it. And I don't feel I was called to be on the parent side of it. I'm called to be with the kids. And I even told you I accepted the job being a teacher for behavioral and home life difficulties is literally what my job title says. It's to be with kids who are going through this. So I don't regret that, because I never would have saw that. And it was eye-opening to see the other side of this. My respect for family educators and the DCFS and these case workers truly grew. And if I didn't do my internship, that wouldn't have happened. So no, there's definitely no regret from it at all.
Okay, I have a question for any of y'all. What was the hardest part of y'all's internship?
I'll go first. Putting your biases and your opinions out the door. You have to walk into these people's houses, look at their cases, see what they're in there for. It's not prison, but why they're involved with us. And you got to go open-minded. And it's hard, especially when you're sitting across a client and you have the paper to take away their parental rights, and they're like, okay, I'll sign it. Let me sign it. I'm done. You just got to go in there knowing, okay, this is this people's choice. How they handle it is on them, not you. So that was a big one for me.
I agree with Danny following that. Like, before we even meet the clients and go into their home, we read the complaint that was filed against them with DCFS, and you start to have preconceived notions of this family and what happened, and you have to completely change your perception on it. A lot of times the report is exaggerated, or it's not exactly what's happened and stuff like that. So that can be very hard to think about when reading the case files before you go to the family. They could, on paper, they're the worst of the worst, and then when you get there, it's not as bad as you thought. So it's kind of a wake-up call to the educators, not to judge people, and like Danny said, completely forget biases. You have to be 100% unbiased doing this profession. If not, it will not work. You will not be successful, because the parents seem to be more receptive the more understanding we are to them. And if you're not understanding and you're not willing to help, if they see that you or feel that you're against them from the beginning, it's not going to happen. So that, I would say, that's the hardest thing, is just to be completely unbiased.
I would say the hardest thing would be for me, for my intern, would be seeing the parents like, oh, oh, like having to see the parents. They had to pay a fee to like see their kids, and because it being a nonprofit, the fees went up, and like some parents was angry, saying that the income changed, but they didn't have proof of it, and they had to pay like a certain amount to see their kids. So some of them couldn't pay that amount to see their kids. So that was the hardest part for me. Them can't pay the fee to see their kids.
I have a question for Nishaylin. How are the fees determined, and why do they have those in place if it's like a meeting place for the families?
Okay, the fees was determined by the income. In like January, the fees went up because of COVID, and the organization was going down, which was like the funding and everything. And they had to pay for security out of pocket. The building was free, but it was just that security and the funding was going down because of COVID. So it was going by the income, and some of them was like the income changed and this and that. So it was going by the income.
Okay, I have another question for Jade. I hear that your time with ETC isn't over. Can you tell us how your work will continue over there?
Yes, I will be a family educator. Going in to a 5-parish area for clients. There is a current wait list right now, so adding me, the other person, will actually help get a lot of those families off the wait list. And I'll just go into their homes every week. I'll do the assessments, the AAPI that Danny spoke about, and see what needs to be done, see what they need to work on. And caseload of 8 to 12, families. And the education, the programs range anywhere from 6 weeks to 17 weeks. So depending on what that family needs, I'll be with families a little bit of time or a lot. So I'll just be joining the other family educators and working with caseworkers and social workers and therapists to see what's the best route for these families and how to help them.
Okay, our last question is, what advice would you give future interns in the focus area of parenting education?
I'll go first. Go in open-minded. If you're dealing with parents in our degree or our, group, I guess you could say, they're not going to be parents of the year. They're not going to be in there because they've done so well. They're going to need compassion. They're going to need a voice, and they're going to need understanding. And just like Jade said, if you don't offer understanding, they will see right through you. And we were fortunate enough to have parents who really wanted to better themselves. And when you're going into this, you just have to remember that it's their choice and they're going to do it. And you've got to be their cheerleader. You can't, if you're not, you're in the wrong business.
Right. Agreed. Just stay open to anything. When it's your turn to choose where you want to go, sometimes you have to think about things that are not in your comfort zone, and put yourself out there. Simply because I knew I wanted to work with the families and children, and when the option to go to ETC, I took it without fully knowing what it involved, and some of the cases that you deal with. However, that ignited a passion inside me that made me truly want to help these people and help these parents. And I didn't have that before. So had I not been open-minded and really, said, okay, I'll take a chance on this, I wouldn't have found my passion, and found a career. So just stay open-minded, put yourself, get yourself out of that comfort zone and take chances, because sometimes it's really worth it.
I agree with them with being open-minded, because if you don't go into the AVEC open-minded, some of the parents that they have will try to take advantage of you and talk about things that they're not supposed to with the kids. So I agree with being open-minded.
It looks like we're about to out of time for this session. Thank you all for your participants for asking great questions, and a big thank you to our wonderful presenters for sharing their internship experience with us. When I end this session, you will be back in the channel where you originally entered this session. I encourage you to review the conference schedule, then join us in another session. Thanks for joining us today, and I hope to see you in the next session.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.